we would get to the summer of 2024 and we would be making the circuit one more time. But I guess if we were going to do anything this summer, other than to spend some time on our pontoon boat with a few drinks and hors d'oeuvres, I guess this must be about the second best thing that we could be doing this summer. But we are thrilled to be back in this responsibility and to be working with all of you, wherever Diane, almost everywhere where Diane and I go. If I step over here, it catches me in a lie. But you know, wherever we go, we run into so many grassroots individuals who've supported us and who have done so much more for the party. And when many of you called back in the end of December and January and said, you know, Pete, would you do this? We actually think you might be able to help. Diane kind of looked at it and said, "What did you fool them?" But Diane and I reached a consensus that if folks out there that thought that we could actually help the Republican Party be successful and help drive us to victory in November, we would be more than willing to work with you one more time through this process. So thank you for giving us the opportunity, and thank you for doing for doing everything you're going to do over the next 5 months to enable us to be successful. The goal of the party is very simple. We've got 3 goals. One is to elect Donald Trump this fall. We win Michigan, Donald Trump is our next president. All right. Number 2 is we want to take the State House. We have to stop what is going on in Lansing. We can't take back the governorship, we can't take back the Senate, but we can take the House, and we need to do that to stop that agenda. The third thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that the party is on a solid basis so that the party can be a significant contributor in 2026 so that we can come back and we can do the what? The trifecta. That we will be in the trifecta. We will take back the governor's office, we will take the Senate, we will keep the House. Then it's your job to be as phenomenally united as what the Whitmer and the Democrats have been in the legislature and pass this stuff through. And maybe we ramrod it. That's not our process. Okay, we actually kind of believe in a process that you should go through to make laws and legislate and govern. But we have to be very well disciplined and unified. Put a lot of that stuff, a lot of the agenda that we had in place that enabled Michigan to prosper to be put back into place. All right, so 3 goals. Trump, House, and have the party in a position to help be a significant contributor to taking the trifecta in 2026. That's it. That's what we're going to measure ourselves on. We're not forgetting about the Supreme Court, okay? But you got to admit that if we do 1, 2, and 3, the opportunity to win the Supreme Court, to increase, I don't know why, where did Jack go? Why do you need a majority of more than 2 people? Can't you govern with a majority of 2? Whatever. We've always, we've got 3 solid opportunities here in Michigan for pickups to help expand that majority. We're not forgetting about those, but we recognize that if we do those first 3 things, there's a good chance we'll pull the other ones right along with us. Okay? And it's been done. I got elected to Congress in 1992. Republicans have been in the minority for 40 years. Okay? That's almost a, that's a permanent, one of your descriptions, John, that you gave was, in the minority. You lose, you lose, you lose, you lose. Every day, all day. And we had an inspirational leader. We had Newt Gingrich. And a few months after I got into Washington, Newt called and his office said, hey, Newt would like to meet with you. So I went up, my office got all excited, okay? I'm a freshman, Republican, I'm on a couple of nondescript committees. You know, why would Newt want to meet with Pete? So I go meet with Newt, and Newt says, you know, Pete, what do you do all day? And you kind of puff out your chest and polish off your button and say, well, you know, I'm a congressman. You know, and he says, well, what do you do all day? I said, well, in the morning I meet with constituents, I go to committee hearings, we mark up legislation. Afternoon we go to the floor of the House, you know, we vote on legislation, meet with more constituents and do those types of things. And Newt asked a very profound question. He said, do you ever win? Do you ever win a vote in committee, or do you ever win a vote on the floor? It's kind of like, well, in committee we never win, but we put up a really good fight. He says, okay. And I said, every once in a while we've won on the floor, but then something funny happens. We vote on the same thing again the next day, and the next day we lose. So no, we've never really won. And he said, okay. He said, I want you to stop doing what you're doing. And it's like, okay, and what am I going to do instead? He said, well, you beat a 26-year Republican incumbent in a primary with no money. You were an executive for a Fortune 500 company in marketing. So maybe you don't know anything about politics, but it's clear you know something about marketing. So he said, I'm going to put you on a project. And so we picked 4 of us out of the conference. And what we did is for the next 14, 15 months, we worked on this thing called the Contract with America. And this is what I think the blueprint needs to be for Republicans consistently. All right? And we were very fortunate because we had Newt leading us. But what we had with the Contract with America is the first thing he said, we need to let the American people know what we stand for. And that we stand for things that are distinctly different from the Democrats. So for most of '93 and '94, we fought the Democrats on just about every single issue. A carbon tax, national health care, all of these things that the Democrats wanted to pass. Remember Hillary Care, those types of things. We fought them each and every day so that the American people knew that there was a distinction between what Democrats stood for and what Republicans stood for. There was a difference. Too many people had begun to believe that there wasn't really a lot of difference between what Republicans and Democrats stood for. But we proved to them, and we fought them every single day. We fought them on the budget. I mean, the most defining piece of legislation that a legislature passes is what? The budget. The amount of money you're going to spend and where you are going to spend it. At that time, we were led on our budget committee by who? John Kasich. And we said, we're the folks that are going to fight on spending. We're going to get rid of wasteful spending. We're going to cut taxes. We're going to grow the economy. And we're going to vote no on every single budget because we know the Democrats are going in a very different direction. So by the time we got to the summer of 1994, people started recognizing there's a difference between Republicans and Democrats in terms of how they legislate. Then in September, we gave them the Contract with America. And we said, if you give us the privilege to govern, and we haven't done it in 40 years, and if you think we might screw up, a good possibility, because we haven't done it in 40 years. But if you give us the privilege to govern, we are going to do everything on the Contract with America. In the first 100 days, we are giving you measurable goals and objectives and telling you exactly what we are going to do. Every single thing on the Contract with America had been written into legislative language. And then we went out and we made our case to the American people. And that November, we were given the privilege to govern and have the majority in Congress for the first time in 40 years. And because of the foundation that Newt put in place in '93 and '94, think about this. When we did the contract with America, we got 433 of the Republicans who were running for Congress to sign the contract with America and said that if we're elected, we're going to implement this. 433 of 435 people on the ballot. I don't care who the two were. They weren't with us, okay? I didn't want them there. We didn't need them there. And who were the two? I don't know. Look it up on Google. They will tell you, okay? Well, they didn't get elected anyway, all right? God, there goes the momentum. You ever feel you're kind of on a ride, and all of a sudden, poof, it's gone. Now, so we got, okay, so, you know, but beginning, you know, the day after the election, we got the contract done in 98 days. We did everything that we told the American people we were going to do. We did it united. And think about this. People now say, oh, you know, Washington's more united, or was more divided now than it was back then. Baloney. Think of the Republican Party in 1993. We had pro-choice people as part of our Congress. Probably 15% of our membership, 20% of our membership, Republican membership in the House of Representatives was pro-choice. Who was that? It's all the Republicans from the Northeast. Don't have many of those anymore, okay? But they were there. They were part of us. We had the conservatives from the South, the moderates from the Midwest, and those types of things. But Newt brought us together as a united party. It was a focus with an agenda that we could all agree on, that we could focus on. It was conservative, and it earned us the right to govern. We then implemented. The fights that we had on the budget in '93 and '94, outlining wasteful government spending, the need to cut taxes by the leadership that Kasich and Gingrich provided in '93 and '94, enabled us to do what? Basically freeze spending. We never really cut it. Cut spending, but you know, just to freeze it was a huge accomplishment. We cut taxes. We reformed a broken welfare system, led by one of my colleagues from Michigan, Dave Camp. And the end result is we actually grew government revenues faster than what we could spend it. Think about that. That's pretty hard to do. Okay, because we like, you know, they like to spend in Washington, we like to spend in Washington. We grew government revenue faster than we could spend it, and the end result is we balanced the budget for 4 years. Because we had a vision, we had a plan, we had inspired leadership, we were united, and we executed. It's exactly what we need to do again today. We've got inspirational leadership. I mean, I was in Detroit. How many of you watched Donald Trump or saw Donald Trump in downtown Detroit in a black church? It was amazing what happened on Saturday. You know, you got the pastor, who's a young pastor, downtown Detroit, a rundown section of Detroit. I go meet him. He pulls open up his coat. Make Black America great again. All right, look for the photo. All right, you got the guy that was a baker, opened up a donut shop. He told me the story beforehand. They asked him another question because this is a guy that had some problems with the law, and he'd been rehabilitated, but he was a donut shop guy. His donut shop went out of business. Why? Price of sugar is going up, price of flour is going up, labor's going up, everything's going up. Pete, in my community, I couldn't raise prices fast enough. My customers couldn't afford it. I went out of business. All right? You got the black chef who's opening a fine restaurant in Detroit. They're all telling their stories, but what they're saying and what they're looking for and what the pastor, the folks in that community were looking for, we got to make sure we can get that black vote. We got a lot of follow-up to do on a ground game. But the black community, what they're looking for a transformational figure. Somebody who's crazy enough to perhaps propose something that nobody else is willing to do that will fundamentally change the black community because they're tired of picking the scraps off the table from a Democrat agenda that has taken advantage of them for the last 40 years and taken them for granted. They think Donald Trump will be creative enough, and I believe it's true, and that he cares enough about the black community that he will propose transformational policies that will fundamentally change their lives, which is what they are looking for. They want the opportunity, and they're ready to seize it. Donald Trump, and Jack talked a little bit about it. We need a strong America. All right? He talks a lot about the automobile industry. I've been fighting these Chinese battery plants here for the last year and a half. Think about it. Michigan providing $4 billion to the Chinese Communist Party so that they can build batteries in Michigan that will put our tool and die workers out of jobs and give us cars that don't run in the cold. And we can't, if Diane and I wanted to drive up, well, tomorrow we're going to Houghton, but if we were driving an electric vehicle, I don't know how we get there from here. I'm not sure how many charging stations there are between here and Houghton. I'm sure we could figure something out, just like Jennifer Granholm did. I think when she was, she had to have a whole staff that went from one place to another and parked a gas car by a charger, right? So that when she got there, they could drive the gas car out and park her car in so she wouldn't have to wait in line for her electric vehicle to be charged. Excuse me, I don't think we all have the opportunity to have those types of things. But Donald Trump is fighting electric vehicles. He's fighting China. When we were in the Netherlands, we had a great time. The Dutch didn't like me, and the Dutch didn't like Donald Trump any. They disliked him even more than they disliked me. And I always worried about the day when Trump or Pompeo would call and say, "Pete, we need you to do this," and I'd say, "Oh man, I don't want to do that. Diane, what are we going to do?" It never happened. He'd say, "Pete, that's literally not happening. You got to fight the folks in NATO and tell them that they need to pay 2%. I'm like, chalk me up. I can sign up for that one. The Dutch media would come to me and say, "Pete, why do you always talk about 2%? You and Trump, you guys are so stupid. You think the Russians are going to come across the borders in their tanks?" And he said, "I don't know, but it might be a good idea to be ready." Okay? Then the Dutch are great with water, they're great with pipelines and they're rich, so they can finance that. So they said, get the Dutch to stop building Nord Stream 2 and paying for the pipeline. The Dutch would say, "There you go again. You Americans, you're crazy. You think the Russians are going to cut off the pipeline for gas? They need the revenue." And you say, "I don't know, but it might be what we might." want to be ready in case they do. And what did the Russians do? They shut off the pipeline. And then I think Biden blew it up. But whatever. The third thing, he said, you know, you got to fight the Chinese. They're a threat. They're a threat economically and all of those types of things. Militarily. And it's like, yeah, I can do that. On that one, the Dutch were great partners. So two out of three is not bad. I saw their prime minister a little over a year ago, and he said, Pete, we should have listened to you more. Kind of like, yeah, you know, Trump was right on Russia. He was right on the pipeline, and all of these types of things. You know, so we've got the inspirational leadership. We've got the issue set now for Republicans. I mean, Biden is destroying America. Okay? Inflation, spending, all of these types of things. Throwing a little bit of an open border, violence in our cities, and these types of things. We absolutely need to win. We're going to be focused on that. The only way that we're going to be able to do that is to do it with you. Okay? We need to have the ground game. You need to be calling your friends and your neighbors and convincing them and talking with them about the same discussion that you had, I guess it was you, with Jack. How can you think about voting for anybody other than Donald Trump? Okay? It just makes no sense. In 2016, I got a call from the Trump campaign just before the convention. And they said, would you co-chair the campaign in Michigan? And I said, I don't know, that's usually the congressional delegation, the Republican members of, you know, from Michigan. And they said, yeah, we know that. Okay? We're new, but we're not that new. We know that, but they all said no. Okay? They all said no. I thought about it, you know, spent a long time thinking about it. Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump. Okay, I'm on. Sign me up. I'll do whatever we need to do to make sure that Hillary Clinton does not get into office. This is not that tough of a decision. The same thing this cycle. You know, we need Donald Trump. We need all of you to sign up and to work with us to do that, to make sure that Donald Trump, his vision, our agenda, we can be proud of the agenda that we're trying to put in place, okay? Of making America great again. What is wrong with that agenda? Okay, making America great again for us, but more importantly, making it great again for those who are in their 30s and 40s, or like for Diane and I, our grandkids who are under 10. We want them to have the same opportunities, the same great America that attracted my parents in the 1950s to come here, that allowed me to live the American dream, and allowed a lot of other people to live the American dream. That's the America that I want for my kids and my grandkids. And I really do believe that the Make America Great agenda is the platform that can make that happen. I think we can go out in confidence, promote that agenda, and sell that platform to our friends and neighbors and our communities, and we will win. We will win in Michigan. We will win the State House. We will have a platform to take back the trifecta. We will elect judges, all right? And for those that are, you know, it was hard to pull us together in 1992 for that election. We've been losers for 40 years. But presenting the opportunity and the vision of winning brought us all together. We still have those in the Republican Party in Michigan, okay, that want to fight. I can tell you as your state party chairman, we're not fighting. Okay? We're focused on November 5. They want to have a debate, and anybody who wants to join our platform of winning in November is more than welcome to join us. We want you to join us. If Donald Trump can go into downtown Detroit and ask the black community, where we get 8 or 9% of their vote in a statewide election, if he can go into downtown Detroit and present a vision that says we can win and we can make America better for you again. If he's willing to go to downtown Detroit, how can Republicans not go to fellow Republicans and ask them to do the same thing and say, join us and let's win and let's be successful in November? They're more than, you can tell them if you know some of them, they are more than welcome to be part of our party and to move forward. They want to have a debate, we'll be there, but we ain't engaging in any debate other than with the Democrats until after November 5. Winning also has a great way of bringing those who came together, keeping them together. Because after November 5, what do we get, Jack, when we're in the majority? What do you get? What's the most powerful symbol you get?
Well, nothing.
You get the gavel.
Oh, when you're in the majority.
When you're in the majority, maybe I wasn't clear. When you
majority.
move into the majority,
You get the gavel.
you get the gavel. You don't have to go crawling to the Democrats to get something into a bill. You're actually writing the bill and setting the agenda, and you've got the votes to make America great again. That's what's on the table. That's the agenda for November. That's the agenda between now and November. We want Jack with a gavel. We want a Michigan senator with a gavel. And we want Donald Trump with a pen to sign the things that they passed. Then we'll be okay. Thanks for inviting Diane up. We really enjoyed being here. Thank you.